Statistics show if you've been incarcerated once, there's a good chance you'll end up behind bars again. That's not how Damon West wants his story to end, and he's proving to others the best is yet to come. In Texas, football is king, and Port Arthur had a rising star in the early 90s. Damon West was the golden child, a 3-year starter at Thomas Jefferson High School, and he had privileges. He was in the locker room when the Cowboys were headed to their first Super Bowl under Jimmy Johnson, when Johnson delivered that famous line.
And the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
That's Damon celebrating, just like he was one of the boys.
You couldn't ask for a better script for an All-American kid. I mean, I came from a great family, 2 brothers, Brandon and Grayson. The football stuff was just amazing. My dad and Jimmy Johnson being best friends, I would go, as you remember back when Jimmy was coaching the Cowboys, I would go to a lot of the games and hold his headphone cord on the sidelines. I mean, and that's just not something normal kids got to do.
He had it all. The media was there when he signed his football scholarship to North Texas. You talk about proud parents. His dad, the longtime sports writer at the Port Arthur News, and his mom, Jeannie, were watching their son's success.
And that's Damon. He goes to extremes when he did everything. And Mike Owens, the coach at TJ, would tell you, he'd be there an hour early, he'd stay an hour late. During the summer, he'd go around and find guys that he could throw to. I mean, it was relentless. He just had a burning desire to succeed.
And he did. He graduated from North Texas, started a job as a stockbroker in Dallas, but then it all came crashing down. That one day, he couldn't say no to crystal meth.
All right, y'all. Thank you for having me. Hey, y'all put your hands together for Daisy and for Superintendent Day and for Principal Nusser, y'all. Thank you so much for having me today. Thank you. You know what? I'm gonna get closer to y'all. That's a little bit better. Does that feel uncomfortable? No. So, y'all, seriously, thank you for having me here today. I came from Texas, and I get to go all over the country sharing this story, this message that I have that I think is so important, because sometimes some people's purpose in life is to be an example of what not to do, And I think that's what my life is, because my story I'm going to tell you today is a 2-part story. One, it's about the dangers of drugs and the consequences of bad decisions and bad habits. But the other part is the story about the message of hope and perseverance against the greatest odds possible. And if I can overcome the odds against me and achieve what I've been able to do in life, then you can achieve any goal too. So I'm going to jump right in and start this story out. But we're going to start it out 11 years ago. July 30th, 2008. I'm sitting around this little rundown apartment in Dallas, Texas, where I live. And on July 30th, 2008, I'm a full-blown meth addict at this point. You saw the video with the meth at the end of it. And I'm sitting around this little couch, and I've got this meth dealer named Tex sitting next to me on the couch. And I'm sitting there smoking meth with Tex, and I'm passing the pipe back and forth to Tex. And I'm telling Tex, hey Tex, I think the end is near, man. I think the cops are going to come get me pretty soon. You see, about 10 days before this guy I've been doing all these burglaries with in Dallas, this guy named Dustin, had been picked up by the Dallas Police Department. So I know they're questioning him. It's just a matter of time before they get to me. And just as I passed the pipe back to Tex, I heard a window shatter from my right. Psh! Tumbling across my living room floor is this little canister. It's going end over end. And it starts to register what's going on in my mind. It's almost like a slow motion reel from a movie. As I got up off the couch and I turned around and this thing went off, boom! The flashbang grenade went off right in my face. Bright white light, loud noise, blew me back on the couch. And when I came to, when I could see and hear again, this cop in full SWAT riot gear, and he's got his boot on my chest and the barrel of a machine gun is digging in my eyes. I can feel a barrel up against my eyeball. The barrel's cold, it's stinging my eyeball. And his fingers hovering above the trigger. And this cop is screaming at me, don't move, don't move. Man, I looked up at this cop and I blinked and I was like, man, don't worry, don't worry. So cops start flooding in my apartment and one of them screams out, we got him. We got the uptown burglar. The uptown burglar. Y'all, it doesn't matter how much good I can do in this world, how much I can put back into the stream of life every day, because I certainly try. It doesn't matter all that I do, because everything good I can do will never erase the consequences of my decisions, and I'll always be known as the uptown burglar. You see, about a dozen other meth addicts and myself, young and old, male and female, black and white, and everything in between, Because drugs and addiction do not discriminate. They don't care who you are, where you come from, who your mom and dad are, what your socioeconomic status are. Drugs and addiction affect everybody the same way that's an addict. And when it's got you, it's got you. But we, as a burglary crew, indiscriminately and without reservation, broke into the homes of dozens of people in the uptown neighborhood of Dallas to feed our insatiable meth habits. But on July 30th, 2008, the uptown burglaries came to an end. They had their man. They had the mastermind zipped out on the floor of that old apartment. They took me and they threw me back in a squad car, took me down to Dallas County Jail where they processed me in, fingerprints, mugshot, the works. Now look at the guys you see in front of you today. That is what living in your addiction looks like. That is what a lifetime of bad belief systems and bad habits looks like right there. A mugshot, y'all. When they took me into Dallas County Jail, they threw me in a holding cell. You know, the first 24 hours I was in that holding cell before I went to general population, I had one thought going through my head. And it wasn't about my victims. And I've got dozens of victims at this point. It wasn't about my family. I've put my family through hell. Our families are our biggest victims because anything we do, and this is something you need to understand at this age, anything we do, our family goes through it with us because they love us unconditionally. And so, but I don't care about my family. I don't even care about myself. I've got a first-degree felony for organized crime hanging over my head with a potential life sentence in prison. And the only thing I care about is how can I get drugs into this county jail? How can I get high again? I'm locked up. And y'all, I sat around for 10 months in that county jail waiting to go to trial with that same thought going through my head as I can't wait to get out and get high again. And at the end of 10 months, I got my day in court. I got 6 days in court. 6 days is a long trial for a bunch of crimes where no one was ever physically hurt. And at the end of 6 days, a jury of my peers, they listened to all the testimony, their overwhelming evidence of my guilt, and they came back with their sentence. And when I came back into the courtroom and the judge gaveled it in, bam, bam, bam. This judge who hadn't smiled the entire trial, now he's smiling, grinning from ear to ear. And he said, Damon Joseph West, you are hereby sentenced to 65 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. 65 years. Let that number bounce around your head. That's a life sentence, y'all. Now, obviously, I didn't do 65 years. I did 7 years and 3 months of that life sentence, and I made parole in 2015. And I'm about to tell you the journey that I went on, because if what could happen to me, then it can happen to anybody in this room, because I had all the opportunity, love, and support to do anything I wanted to do in this life. And if it could happen to me, it can definitely happen to you. So let's back the story up and start where I started out. I grew up in a town called Port Arthur, Texas. And Port Arthur is a small town in southeast Texas. And, I grew up down there. My dad was a sports writer for 50 years. My mom was a nurse. Got an older brother named Brandon, younger brother named Grayson. We had a nice, knit, little happy family. We had issues too, though. I mean, everybody's family's got issues, right? 1985, when I was 9 years old, I came out and told my parents that my babysitter had been molesting me. And this is childhood sexual abuse back in the 80s, y'all. They didn't know as much about it back then as they know now. In fact, my parents went to the police and talked to them, and they said, because it was a female babysitter and your son's a male, well, there's nothing we can do about it. But my family loved me. They sent me to counselors. They sent me to talk to a family priest, and we prayed about it. I got to tell you about my mom with prayer. My mom is one of those moms that has a prayer plaque or a cross in every room in the house, man. You can't escape God in my mom's house. Still to this day, she has crosses everywhere. Some of y'all may have moms like that. That's my mom. But something inside that little 9-year-old boy went to a really dark place. And by the time I was 10, I started putting in chemicals to change the way I felt. I started drinking beer. I started eating my dad's beer in the fridge. I'd go to friends' houses that had a liquor cabinet, sneaking drinks out of there. I started smoking cigarettes when I was 12. But the worst part about this is I've got a bad belief system, y'all. My bad belief system tells me at 10 and 12 years old, all I'm doing is drinking a little beer, smoking some cigarettes, smoking some pot. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not even hurting myself. In today's day and age, my bad belief system would include something like vaping. Vaping is another one of these gateway drugs. And at 10 and 12 years old, I'm into these gateway drugs. And I think it's okay. And I think, man, why are all these adults so upset? Man, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not bothering anybody. But I couldn't be more wrong. And the thing about a bad belief system, and some people in this room have bad belief systems. The thing about a bad belief system is the longer you hold on to a bad belief system, the harder they are to get rid of. You pick up a vape now, you start vaping at this age, it's going to be so much harder to not do something later on in life when someone says, hey, here, try this. You're way too young to be doing anything like this. But I didn't get that at that age. And the longer we hold on to that bad belief system, the more it tells us to do the same thing the wrong way. So I carried this bad belief system with me, but because I could throw a football really well, because I was one of the most gifted athletes in my city, the star quarterback in my town, I got away with so much stuff, y'all. I was that athlete that always got the brakes cut to him, and I always messed up, got in trouble, but hey, you're the quarterback, it's okay. I got a scholarship to play football at the University of North Texas. So I moved off to college, which was 6 hours away. And when I got to college, all those bad belief systems started mounting up on me, because my parents aren't there anymore. My family's not there. My community of Port Arthur, my small town, just like a small town like this, isn't there anymore to watch over me. And so the bad belief systems start kicking in. All I really care about in college is being the starting quarterback for my Division I team and partying. And I do both really well. But I came up to what I like to call a fork in the road day, y'all. And a fork in the road day is this. Life is going to knock you down, y'all. It's going to happen a lot. Life's going to knock you down. You're going to get tested. And sometimes you get knocked down so hard, when you get back up and dust yourself off, everything looks different. Things are in a different place. You got hit so hard. But you got to make a choice when you dust yourself off. You got to say, hey, am I going to make the right choice to go the right way, or the wrong choice and go the wrong direction? Instead of me telling you about a fork in the road in my life, let me show you what a fork in the road in my life looked like. September 21st, 1996, we take the field against Texas A&M. Beautiful Saturday in College Station, Texas. I'm 20 years old. I'm the starting quarterback for my Division I team. This is my fork in the road.
Damon West is the starting quarterback. Cromers is running back. They go with a single setback, two flankers, two tight ends. They go on a play action back to the 20, now to the 25. Now he'll run with it West across the 35 to about the 37. And they will come out and show a shotgun facing a second down and 4 from their own 37-yard line. A running back on either side takes the snap to lay out of the backfield, and that should be Hunt Allred, and it is. Allred goes to about the 39-yard line. He'll be too shy of a first down. One of the linebackers for Texas A&M, Dan Wynn, a top 100 high school recruit, just made the hit for the Aggies. Again, a shotgun for Damon West, a running back Allred off to his left. Here's the snap. He drops back to about the 32, throws in the flats to Coleman. He makes the reception, and he will be bottled up at the line of scrimmage. He caught him behind the line at about the 38. He got to the 39, and that will be it.
That will be it. The announcer says that will be it, because we went 3 and out and had to punt. We didn't win a lot of games in North Texas. Which, by the way, where are my Lions football players? Any Lions football players in here? Hey, congratulations on those big win Friday night, man. Congratulations, y'all. I wanted to say that, man. Congratulations. That's all right. That's all right. That's good. It's a good start, because it changes the belief system here. You got to start with the belief that you can win. Now you know you can win. So, but that team that I played on back in the day, we didn't win a lot of games either. And when that announcer said that will be it, he's talking about the end of the series. We went 3 and out and had to punt. But when I hear him say that will be it, I think about my college football career. You see, I never played college football again after that last play. I got hurt on that last play, went down, separated my shoulder. They had to go in and cut my collarbone out. And I never played college football again. And when I got up to that fork in the road of life, and sports was gone, football was gone, athletics was gone, my identity was gone. Because I put all my identity into being a football player, right? Stupid. So I get up to that fork in the road of life, and I make all the wrong choices now. And that bad belief system, those bad belief systems I talked about, that, hey, all I'm doing is drink a little beer, smoke a cigarette, smoke a little pot. I'm not hurting anybody, I'm not even hurting myself. Now I'm putting in cocaine, ecstasy, pills. Whatever could take me away from being Damon West, who I don't like being anymore, I was doing it. Somehow I graduated college in 1999. I moved off to Washington, D.C. I got a job working in the United States Congress. The Capitol Dome that you see on TV all the time? I worked in that building every day, y'all. And in 2004, I went to work for a guy running for President of the United States. And went all over the country raising money for him. And when he dropped out of the race later on in 2004, I moved back to Dallas, Texas, to train to be a stockbroker for one of the biggest Wall Street banks in the world, UBS, United Bank of Switzerland. And it was at that job as a broker. What a broker does is invest money. And he finds different ways to buy investments for his clients, for his customers. And I learned about these things called commodities. And commodities fascinated me, because a commodity is big in a state like Kansas, because commodities agriculture, wheat, oil, platinum, gold, silver. These are commodities. You can trade these things. But I learned about 2 commodities that aren't traded on the stock exchange. They're traded on a life exchange. And these 2 commodities are misery and time. That first commodity on the board, misery, pay attention to that. It's the only thing in life that I've found in 44 years that's free. And once you're out of misery, all you have to do is tell life, give me more, and it'll give it to you by the truckload. You can have all the misery you want in life. Miserable people stay miserable because that is a choice. But that other commodity on the board, pay very close attention to that. That is the most precious resource in the world, time. And once it's gone for good. And all the money in the world can't buy one more second of this stuff called time. We talk about misery and time. So, 2004, I'm at that job as a broker, and I'm at my desk one day sleeping at work, and I'm passed out on my desk, and this other broker comes up, he sees me sleeping, and he wakes me up, he freaks out, he's like, Damon, wake up. You can't sleep at this job. They'll fire you, man. The markets are open. You're messing with people's money. He said, come on down to the parking garage. I got someone's going to pick you up. So I hop up out of my seat. I go down to the parking garage. I think we're going to do some cocaine because I'm real big into cocaine in 2004. And we get into his car, and the car door closes, and he hands me this glass pipe with these crystal rocks in it. And I freak out on him. I'm like, man, what is that? He's like, man, Damon, just chill, man. Just relax. He said, it's crystal meth. He said, you'll love this stuff. Y'all, if you don't listen to anything I say today, if you don't remember anything, remember this one part of the presentation. Meth is the most evil, most addictive, most destructive drug ever created by man. I smoked that drug one time. Instantly hooked, just like that. Instantly hooked. I could not stop. I was up for 4 days the first time I smoked it. 4 days, Monday through Thursday, wired like that, y'all. And I couldn't give everything away fast enough for that drug. My job, my home, my money, my car, my family, my tethering to God, whatever was left of that. I went from working on Wall Street to living on the streets of Dallas, sleeping on park benches, sleeping behind buildings, sleeping in cars, living in dope houses with other dope fiends, because that's what I am at the time. I'm a dope addict. And all we do is sit around and get high, and we start breaking into people's storage units. We start breaking into people's cars to fund our addiction. And eventually we escalated to home burglaries. And y'all, when you do a home burglary, wait, not you. Y'all didn't do burglaries. I did the burglaries. This is accountability. Well, accountability is something very important in life. So accountability. When I did these burglaries, let me tell you what I stole from my victims. I didn't just steal their property. We stole over $1 million worth of property in 3 years of the Uptown burglaries. $1 million worth of property. But I stole something way more important than their property. I stole these people's sense of security. And I don't know if they ever get that back. And that's something they have to live with for the rest of their lives, and so do I. But after 3 years of these burglaries going on July 30th, 2008, that Dallas SWAT team put an end to the Uptown burglaries. And that was the day they arrested me and shut the burglary game down. But I tell people all the time, that wasn't just the day I was arrested. Man, that was the day I was rescued. Man, God got me out of a situation I couldn't get myself out of. So now we're back where the story started. I'm in that holding cell in Dallas County Jail. And the guards come to get me after 24 hours. They're going to take me and put me in general population. And they put me in one of the worst pods they could find. These people are mad at me. I've been terrorizing Dallas for 3 years now. They're mad at me. So they throw me in one of the worst pods. Within 24 hours, I'm in my first fight in jail over a breakfast tray. It's brutal. And I'm scared to death. So I get on these phones in there and I call home. I want to talk to my mom and my dad. They're 6 hours away in Port Arthur. And my dad answers the phone. And my dad, you saw him in that video, he's from an older generation of guys. My dad doesn't show a lot of emotion. I've never seen my dad cry. But I heard him cry one time. And it was when I called home from jail at the time. And he's screaming and crying on the phone. Damon, man, how did we go so wrong with you? How we messed up so bad? And he said, what could we have done different? So, man, he's crying, and now I'm crying. So my mom snatches the phone out of my dad's hand. My mom's a nurse. She's used to traumatic situations. She says, baby, your dad can't talk right now. She said, I've never seen him like this before in my life. She said, but we need to have a serious conversation. She said, Damon, you need to understand that we love you unconditionally. She said, there's nothing you can do to make us not love you. She said, that was the deal we made with God when he loaned you to us. She said, do you understand, Damon, that we love you unconditionally? And through the tears, I told my mom, I was like, yeah, Mom, I understand. You love me unconditionally. Great, thanks. She said, that's good, baby, because we just gave you back to God. She said, you are now a captive audience to God. You better start listening. And so my mom's telling me all this stuff about God, and I'm like, Mom, I'm in jail. She's like, Damon. She said, did you remember the prayer plaque that I had on your wall as a kid growing up? Remember I told you my mom had these plaques and crosses all over the house, right? But she's asking me about the one that was above my room on Roanoke Street, Port Arthur, where I grew up. And I've been on this dope for 4 years, y'all. My brain doesn't even fire right. And I'm like, Mom, what are you talking about? What plaque? She said, baby, it's footprints in the sand. She said, do you remember the story of footprints in the sand? So I told my Mom, I don't know what you're talking about. So she patiently and lovingly retold me the story of footprints in the sand, about a guy walking on the beach with God. And she said they're watching a video of his life play out in the sky. And she said, every time something good happened in that guy's life, there was 2 sets of footprints walking side by side. Things are going well. She said, but every time something bad happened in his life, in the video, when there's pain, there's hurt, there's suffering, there's loss, when he loses his football career, the guy saw 1 set of footprints. And she said the guy couldn't take it anymore, so he calls God out. Says, hey, God, what's up, man? Every time something good happens in my life, man, you're walking with me side by side. I can see 2 sets of footprints. But when bad things start happening, man, you abandon me. I see 1 set of footprints. And she laughed. She said, God laughed and said, Damon, you fool. Every time you saw 1 set of footprints, I didn't abandon you. I carried you. Boy, she started screaming like a football coach. My mom said, Damon, look down in that jail cell right now. There's 1 set of footprints, and they're not yours. She said, baby, get on God's back. I don't want to lose my son. So, y'all, that night I listened to my mom. And I started talking to a guy that I hadn't talked to since I got hurt in college football and went down the bad path at that fork in the road in life, y'all. And let me tell you about my prayer to God. This isn't some kind of religious story I'm telling y'all today. I'm just telling you about the spiritual part about this journey that I had to go on. My prayer to God, this isn't a jailhouse conversion story. So my prayer to God, I'd get on my knees every night, Dallas County Jail, waiting at 10 months to go to trial. And I'd say the same prayer. Dear God, please, get me out of this one. And if you do, bargain with God, right? Like that works. So if you do, I'm going to be a normal guy again. I'm going to get a job. And man, God, I'll just smoke meth on the weekends, man. I got this under control. Yeah. Never heard that. It was one of those spam emails you don't even open, man. Never open. And I know that because 10 months later when I got to that trial, and that judge said 65 years, it took my breath away. It took my mom's breath away. My mom was in the front row of the courtroom. And she gasped. With the sound only a mother can make when she hears her son get a life sentence in prison. And after that, everything sped up. The sheriff's deputies were on me. They throw my arms behind my back. They handcuffed me. And they shoved me out of the courtroom head first. And all I can think to say as I'm wiggling out of that courtroom is, I'm sorry, Mom. And they put me in this little room on the side of the courtroom. It's got a bulletproof glass right there. They told me to wait. And my parents came in 5 minutes later. They're going to give one last visit with me before I go to prison. And my dad walks in, man. He's just stoic. He's in stunned disbelief. He just saw his son with all this promise in life get a life sentence in prison. So my mom does all the talking. And my mom says, baby, debts in life demand to be paid. Y'all, that's a lesson in life. If you owe a debt in life, you eventually will repay it. Life has a way of coming back and collecting a debt. So she's saying debts in life demand to be paid. And she said, Damon, you just got hit with one giant bill from the state of Texas. She said, but you did the things they said you did in that courtroom, Damon. So you have to go to prison and pay that debt to society. She said, but you owe your father and I a debt too. She said, we gave you all the opportunity, love, and support to be anything you wanted to be in this life, and this is how you repay it? She said, that's not going to work, Damon. She said, we raised you in Port Arthur, Texas, a giant melting pot of the city, gave you a great moral compass, which you chose to not use. So here's the debt you're going to pay to us. When you get to prison, you will not get one of these white hate groups, one of these Aryan Brotherhood type gangs, because you're scared because you're the minority in there. She said, that's not going to work. You were never raised to see race. She said, you're not going to get any tattoos while you're in prison. Y'all look, man. I did almost 10 years in prison, and those guys in prison want to tattoo every inch of your body. Those guys would come up to me all the time while I was in prison. Hey, Wes, let me put a tattoo on you. I'd be like, man, fool, my mom said no. And I'd walk off, you know. Yeah, because my mom said no. But she said, Damon, she said, no games and no tattoos. She said, you come back as the man we raised, or don't come back at all. It's tough love coming from my mom. She said, do you understand this debt you're going to pay? And through the tears, I told my mom, I said, yeah, Mom, I got it. But I had no clue, because I've never been to prison. I don't know what prison's like. So when I get back to the pod in Dallas County Jail, I'm asking all these guys in county jail, hey, man, how am I going to survive prison? And every single guy I'm talking to, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, all these different guys are telling me the same thing. Man, you just got hit with a life sentence, West. You're going to the worst part of the Texas prison system where everybody in the building you live on, almost 500 people in one building, have a life sentence. You don't even get to come off the building for 5 years, locked in a building for 5 years like in a dungeon. Man, make your life easy, West. Get into a gang. Let the gang fight for you. You're 33 years old. You're gang recruiting age. But there was this one guy, this older African-American guy named Mr. Jackson. And Mr. Jackson was in his 60s. He was a seasoned convict. He'd been to prison 4 or 5 times. But he was a real positive guy. And he would come up and check on me every day, chat with me, make sure I'm doing okay. So one morning he came up, he said, Wes, I've been watching how you're dealing with these knuckleheads, these dummies, man. Talking about you got to get into a gang. He said, do not listen to them. He said, you don't have to do that. He said, but let me tell you what prison's going to be like. And this is what prison's like, y'all. He said, prison is all about race. He said, it's the most disgusting environment you'll ever see in your life. He said, because it's all about race, he said, when you walk in that prison, he said, you got to fight all the white gangs first if you want your independence. You don't want to do the gang thing? Your mom told you you can't do it? That's fine. The Aryan Brotherhood, the Aryan Circle, the White Knights, the Woods. He's naming all the white prison gangs. He said, you've got to fight all these guys. He said, if you survive all that, and you don't give in to their ideology of hate out of fear, because y'all, we will do a lot of things in this life out of fear. Fear will make us make some very big mistakes. So he's saying, if you don't give in to them out of fear, he said, then you're going to fight the black gangs, because they're going to send the black gangs after you, because everything's about race in there. And until you get with the program of race, everybody's going to try to get you in line. The black gangs are going to jump on you next. There's Crips, the Bloods, the Gangster Disciples, the Mandingo Warriors. He's naming all the black prison gangs off. He said, you're fighting them all. He said, but if you survive all that, you will earn the right to walk alone. He said, the strongest man in prison always walks alone. He said, but Wes, let me tell you something about fighting in prison and fighting in life. He said, you don't have to win all your fights, but you do have to fight all your fights. And that's the lesson in life, y'all. You can't win all your battles in life. You will lose sometimes. But we learn from our losses. And Mr. Jackson's telling me, don't ever turn down a fight. And he's watching me. He's seeing that I'm not comprehending everything I'm about to go into. So he says, hey, he said, Wes, let me give you an analogy. Let me make this more simple for you. He said, I want you to imagine prison is like a pot of boiling water. He said, anything we put in that pot of boiling water is going to be changed by the heat and the pressure inside that pot. He said, I'm going to put 3 things in that pot of boiling water we call prison. And watch how they change. A carrot, an egg, and a coffee bean. Did anybody get a coffee bean when they came here today? Yeah, the students got a coffee bean when they came here, right? So here's the deal. He said the carrot goes in that pot of boiling water we call prison and gets soft. He said the carrot goes in hard. But prison changes that carrot. That water changes that carrot, turns it soft. He said the carrot gets beat, he gets robbed, he may get raped, and he may get killed. He said you do not want to be the carrot in prison. He said, Wes, what happens to the egg when we put the egg in that pot of boiling water we call prison? I said, well, Mr. Jackson, the egg turns hard, like a hard-boiled egg. He said, that's right. He said, outside, physically, the egg has a hard outer shell. Physically, the eggs are fine. He said, because they're protected by their shell. But inside, they change. They turn hard. That soft, liquid core, his heart becomes hard. He said, if your heart becomes hardened like the egg, you're incapable of giving and receiving love. He said, if a human being is incapable of giving and receiving love, they have become institutionalized. He said, you will not come back as someone your parents recognize, because your eggshell will have swastikas tattooed all over it. He said, what about that coffee bean, Wes? And I had no idea what happened to a coffee bean in a pot of boiling water. And Mr. Jackson laughed at me. He said, you know, for a college boy, you're not too smart. He said, if I put a coffee bean into that pot of boiling water we call prison, he said, now you got to change the name of the water to coffee. He said, the coffee bean, the smallest of these 3 things, small like you, West, had the power to change the entire atmosphere inside that pot of boiling water. He said, everybody in life puts out energy, negative or positive. He said, whatever kind of energy you put out, you attract back. He's explaining what's called the law of attraction. He said, so if you want to walk around prison all the time with a mean mug on your face and a scowl because you're trying to look hard, he said, you're going to attract that same kind of inmate. He said, that can be a very dangerous, even deadly endeavor on the life sentence building in prison. He said, but West, if you walk around that prison with a smile on your face, and you let those guys know they're not getting to you, no matter what they do, they don't get to you, he said, you will change that prison from the inside out. He said, the best part about this is the other coffee beans in prison, the other positive inmates, will find you because of your energy. And, you know, before I was going into prison, he said, you know, before I got on that prison bus, he said, look, when you get there, he said, I need you to be brave. I need you to let it happen. And I'm like, let what happen? He said, your heart check. He said, your heart check's your most important fight in prison. But he said, when you walk in there, he said, don't run to your cell. When you get your cell assignment, don't run to your cell. Don't go and hide, because you get marked for the rest of your time you're there as a coward. He said, put your stuff down, put your back against the wall, and wait for it to happen. He said, the first guy that comes up to you, he's not coming to fight you. He's there to gather information. It's going to be a white guy, because you're white. He said, that guy's coming to gather information. He said, you get him out of your face as quick as you can. He wants to know what gang you're going to be with. You tell him you're riding with God, man. Get him away from you. He said, get ready, because the second guy that comes up to you, he's not coming to talk, man. He's coming to hurt you. He said, when that guy gets within range of you, put your fist in his mouth. Get your jump on him as fast as you can. Try to win that first fight. He said, get in there and hit that guy as hard as you can. And the last thing Mr. Jackson told me before I got on that prison bus and he got shipped to prison from county jail, he said, West, go out there and go be a coffee bean. And with that, I was off. I became inmate West number 1585689. I was talking to the principal before this presentation today, talked about using people's first names and not their last names. When you get to prison, you lose your first name. It's gone. I never heard my first name again until I got out of prison. And so you get to prison, you ride on these buses, you're handcuffed to another human being. And this guy you're handcuffed to, it's a 10-hour bus ride. That means he goes to the bathroom, you go to the bathroom. Number 1 or 2, you're going with him. And he gets in a fight, you get in a fight. He wants to fight you, you fight him with one arm. And these buses are violent, they're crazy. It's all kinds of crazy stuff happening on these buses the entire 10-hour ride. And so you get to prison, they unshackle you, they strip you down, they body cavity search you, they poke you, they prod you, they run tests on you, they take your DNA, and then they send you off to whatever unit you're going to do your time. And I got sent to this unit called the Mark Stiles Unit in Beaumont, Texas. Beaumont, Texas is right next to the town of Port Arthur where I grew up. So this is kind of a mixed bag for me because it's good because I'm going close to home. I'll see my family again. But it's bad because it's the Mark Stiles Unit. The Mark Stiles Unit's got a notorious reputation. It's one of the hardest prisons in Texas, maybe in America, to do time. For better or worse, that's where I'm going. So I get to prison. I'll never forget my first bunk assignment. You know, it was 7-building G-Pod, 45 cell, bottom bunk. So when I walk in, I've got a mattress under one arm and a couple bags of commissary in the next hand. And I walk in, they close the door behind me, and I look back, and the door's closed. And then I look up, and this giant room like this, and it's got 3 tiers of cells, man. There's cells everywhere, and there's guys hanging out on top of these cells on the rails. 3 levels of them, man. There's inmates everywhere, and they're all screaming. It's very loud, and I'm freaking out because I've never been in an environment like this before. And I started looking for 45 cells because I'm thinking about making a run for it, even though Jackson told me not to. And I look up and I find 45 cells on the 3rd tier up by the shower, the furthest cell away from the door. So I couldn't make it if I tried. So I put my mattress down, put my bags down, and put my back against the wall and waited. Didn't take but a couple minutes. Here he comes, man. First guy, little bitty white guy, man. He's got no teeth in his mouth because he's got the meth mouth thing. He's been doing meth all his life. And he's got tattoos all over him. And he comes up, and he's been drinking. I can smell he's been drinking. They make wine in prison out of fruit and all kinds of stuff. This guy's drunk. I can smell it on him. And he comes up and gets in my face and says, "Hey, white boy." He said, "What family are you going to ride with, white boy?" Families. You ever hear anybody call a gang a family? They're fools, man. A gang could be a family. A gang could be further from a family if it tried. So he's in my face. He's breathing on me. He's like, "Hey, white boy, what family are you riding with, white boy?" I said, "Man, get out of my face, little guy." I said, "I'm riding with God, man. Just leave me alone. Please leave me alone." And he laughed at me. He said, "God didn't even hear, man. We kicked God out a long time ago." He said, "But we're here, white boy, and we're going to get you." And he stumbles off. And I'm like, man, I'm swallowing. My mouth is dry. 10 minutes later, man, here he comes. Biggest corn-fed white guy I've ever seen in my life, man. This guy's a giant, man. He's huge, man. He's coming down the stairwell on the right side, and he's got muscles and veins ripping out of his arm, bulging out of his shirt. He's got a big swastika tattooed on the top of his bald head. He's a big skinhead guy. He's coming down the stairs like that, looking at me. And man, I've played sports all my life, y'all. I can be coached. I remember what Jackson said. And when that guy came down and got in my face, man, I hit him as hard as I could in the mouth. Busted him right here. Boom! In 20 seconds, that fight was over. That guy had me on the ground, beat me down. Y'all thought I was going to tell you I beat the guy up? Come on, y'all. Everybody always hangs on that one part. No! Man, I didn't beat anybody up like that. This is prison. This is not Hollywood. It's not a movie. Man, I probably got in 3 dozen fights those first 6 months of prison. 3 dozen fights, and I lost 75% of those fights, y'all. I got my butt kicked a lot, y'all, but I got up and fought because Mr. Jackson told me, you don't have to win all your fights, but you do have to fight all your fights. And I learned something about myself from my losses. I learned that I've been putting limits on myself because of fear. Let me tell y'all something. Don't ever let anybody tell you what you can or cannot do in life. That's up to you. The person that decides what you can do is looking at you in the mirror every single morning. You have a conversation with that person. Nobody can tell you what you can or cannot do. That's on you. And if you allow someone to tell you that, that's on you too. So one morning, about 6 weeks into this, I'm done fighting the white gangs at the 2-week mark. 4 more weeks later, I'm at 6 weeks and I'm fighting the black gangs. Sometimes it's more than one at a time. And I get up and I look in the mirror and I look at that guy, the only person that can hold me back in life. And I don't like the guy I see. The guy I look at in the mirror, losing fear. Every time the cell door rolls, he's going to walk out of that cell and get into a fight. So I look in that mirror and I say the sentence at the bottom of this thing. If it is to be, it is up to me. Man, that is 20 letters and 10 words of pure power. Maybe the strongest, the most powerful sentence in the English language. That's a permission statement. That tells you to get up and go do something. So I look in that mirror and I head off to the rec yard that morning. And so Mr. Jackson told me about prison being all about racing. He was right, man. It's so segregated. Let me tell you about the rec yard. So you walk out of the rec yard. First of all, they strip you down naked. To go anywhere you're in prison, they're stripping you down all the time because they're checking you for knives, they're checking you for drugs. So you get your clothes back on. We'll call that home plate, that little chute you come out of. Put your clothes back on. Right field, they got a sand volleyball court. That sand volleyball court is for the whites and Hispanics only. No blacks allowed. You go around the left field, they got these big handball walls. And then it's a handball court. All the races can play handballs. But if you want to play handballs with a partner, your partner has to be the same race as you. You can't mix up the races out there. Come on down third baseline. They got the weight stack. You know, everybody wants to lift weights in prison. You see that moves all the time. That's cool. But if you want someone to spot you, someone to work out with you, it has to be the same race as you. So I pass all those sports up that day. I go straight to the basketball court. Who do you think runs the basketball court? The black guys. They run it, man. They run it. They run that basketball court. And no white guys are allowed in the basketball court. So y'all, I'm from a town where I've been the only white guy on the basketball court before. So, and I've got a plan. Because I'm going to fight these guys anyway. I'm going to do it playing sports. I'm an athlete. So I realized that after every game they play, they're going to shoot for team captains to see who gets to pick first. So if I can get that ball in my hand, I can shoot for team captains. They have to let me play, right? So I'm sitting out there watching the game, and I get to the side of the court that I know the game's going to end on. And as soon as that last shot goes through that basket, I went and fell in the basketball like a fumble drill in football. I got the ball in my hand, and all the guys on the basketball court swarmed up around me, man. And they were mad. They're screaming at me. Just a sea of angry black faces. They were mad. And they're screaming at me. They're like, hey, white boy, give us our ball back, man. Have you lost your mind? No, we're going to hurt you for this. And, man, the toughest voice I could find, squeaking and crying, going, man, y'all going to have to hurt me because I'm playing basketball today. Man, what? These guys they were so mad at me now. They're, man, we're going to kill you. Don't you know we're going to kill you? You can't do this, man. We're going to have to kill you now. Biggest guy out there, man. There's blood from Houston named Jay Blood. Jay Blood comes and gets in my face. He says, you know what, white boy? He said, get up on the line and shoot that shot. I hope you make it. And then the basketball court parted, man. That free throw line appeared. Whew, man, I stepped up to the line, stilled my nerve, breathed a little bit, said a little prayer, bounced the ball, shot my shot, nothing but net. Boom, I'm a team captain. Jay Boy gets up, he makes his shots, we pick our teams. And so I pick my 4 guys, he picks his 4 guys. Got us a little 5-on-5 basketball game, right? Wrong, it's 9-on-1, man. My own teammates don't want me out there. And this is basketball in the Life Sentence building. I mean, there's no guards. There's no guard in the tower. They don't ever have a guard in the tower. It means, so there's no guards, there's no referees. That means there's no fouls. In prison basketball, man, you can punch, kick, scratch, bite, pull hair, man. There's no foul. That's basketball. So y'all, I'm out there that first day, and man, I've got a black eye and a busted lip. I'm scratched up from head to toe, but I survived. I went back out there Tuesday, looked in that mirror again next Tuesday morning myself, and I liked the guy I saw a little bit. He looked a little bit rougher. You know, I got a black eye and a busted lip, but that guy got braver. And I went back out to that basketball court again, and these guys were laughing at me when I walked. I was thinking I'd been hit by a truck, man. They were, hey, white boy, we thought you had enough yesterday. I said, man, I thought you boys were playing basketball today. What's up? Jay Boy said, get on my team, white boy. We're playing basketball. So they started picking me first for every game after that because everybody wanted to get a piece of me, y'all. And I mean, these guys are coming at me, and I'm giving it back wherever I can because I'm trying to earn some respect while I'm out there. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, man. It's brutal. I'm like a pinata out there, y'all. Saturday, I'm standing at half court, and I'm thinking to myself, Damon, I'm playing the basketball game on Saturday, man. Saturday's a big day in prison on the rec yard. So I'm out there thinking to myself, Damon, this is the dumbest thing you ever did. You're going to have to do this for 65 years. You're going to come out and play basketball every day and get beat up, man. And just about that time, someone passed me the basketball, and I dribbled it up, and I shot, I missed, and I'm like, man, I want to make a shot so bad. And eventually someone passed me the ball again, and I made my shot, and I heard it. Somebody said, good shot, West. West. They weren't calling me white boy anymore. They gave me my name back. That's the start. And so after the game was over, these guys circled around me like they did 6 days before, but their body language was different. They were all relaxed, and Jay Blood does all the talking again. He says, man, Wes, you pulled something off out here we'd never seen a white boy pull off before, man. He said, you took everything we had, and you gave it back when you could. He said, man, check this out. You don't have to worry about the blacks the rest of the time you're in prison. We got you back, man. And y'all, that felt good. But the first thing that went through my head, the first thought that went through my head was Mr. Jackson. Man, he was right. That coffee bean stuff worked. Because you can't just think about how uncomfortable it was for me to be the only white guy out there, right? We understand that. Think about how uncomfortable it was for them to have me on their basketball court. They have 20 years of a bad belief system that says white guys don't belong out there. But in 6 days, everybody changed. In 6 days, everybody became coffee beans. And man, they honored that. They'd come by 45 cells. Wes, man, let's go shoot some hoop. I belong. But here's the thing. After living in all that violence for all that time, I had started becoming the egg. And I didn't want to be the egg, y'all. I wanted to be a coffee bean so bad. But prison's hard. Prison's violent. In fact, Mr. Jackson in county jail, when he's telling me about the carrot, the egg, and the coffee bean, I asked him right after that, I said, what do you find more of in prison? He said, eggs. Eggs. He's answered me back real fast. He said, the egg is the natural evolution of a human being in that environment. And I had become the egg. And I did not want to be the egg. I was mad, man. I was mad at Mr. Jackson even. Because Mr. Jackson tells me this coffee bean story, but he didn't give me an instruction booklet, a manual, a how-to guide on how to do this. So I had to figure it out. The first thing that you have to do when you're trying to figure out something, when you want to change something, just like that football game that y'all won Friday night, is you have to change your mindset. Your mindset controls everything. So I had to change my mindset when I was in prison. I had to quit looking at prison as a punishment and start looking at prison as an opportunity. An opportunity to work on myself 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I got to work on myself. And I found out how to become that coffee bean. There are 5 ways of becoming a coffee bean. You may think of more after today, but I figured out there's 5 ways of becoming a coffee bean. And here they are. And I practice this in prison, and I practice this day. And if I can turn it around there, then you can turn around whatever situation you're in. Let's go. The first rule about being a coffee bean is your body language. You have to practice positive body language everywhere you go, especially when you don't feel like it. Every room when you walk into, smile. Light that room up, y'all. Because let me tell you what happens when you're in a room full of people that are smiling. Negative people hate being around positive people. And they will do one of 2 things in a room full of positive people. They will either get positive and get with it because human beings have a natural need to want to be loved and belong, or they will get out of the room because they can't stand the positivity. And either one of them is fine. So everywhere you go, practice positive body language, smile everywhere you go because everybody's watching. The number 2 rule about becoming a coffee bean is you have to get up every day and go work out. And I'm not talking about working out physically. That's just one part of it. I'm talking about working out spiritually, mentally, and physically. You have to get fit, get in shape. So what does it mean to spiritually work out? That means at the end of the day, throughout the day, you ask God, whatever God you believe in, you ask God, hey, do I owe someone an apology today? Was I a good human being today? Am I resentful of somebody today? Do I owe someone forgiveness? Because that forgiveness thing is a 2-way street, y'all. You want forgiveness, you got to be able to give it out 100% of the time too. So you ask yourself these questions and you hold yourself accountable. That is a spiritual workout that not a lot of people do anymore. And mentally working out. What does it mean to mentally work out? Mentally working out means what kind of books are you reading? What kind of videos do you watch? What kind of websites you go to? What video games are you playing? What kind of music do you listen to? What are you feeding yourself, y'all? Because we are what we eat. And that's not just about food. That's everything we put in. Who are you hanging out with? Let me tell you something. If you show me who you hang out with, I can tell you who you are. Because people hang out with people that are just like them. You show me who you hang out with, I'll tell you who you are. And these administrators, these teachers, these coaches, they all know it too. Physically, what are you doing to take care of yourself? What are you doing to take care of your body? Are you getting enough rest? Are you eating the right food? Are you listening to your parents? Are you listening to your coaches? Are you vaping? Man, this vaping stuff, over and over. You see this stuff in the news about people your age getting into this vaping stuff. Y'all, our bodies are made up, a majority of our bodies is made up of water. This vaping stuff is water. It's not like the old stuff with tobacco. At least your body will reject tobacco. You get the cancer, but your body rejects tobacco. Vaping, your body is absorbing that. And we have no idea how much damage you're doing, but I guarantee you, if you want to physically be the best person you can be, vaping is the last thing you want to be putting in your body. It's crazy what I'm seeing right now in America. It is an epidemic. Y'all stay away from this stuff. I promise you, in 10 years, this is my prediction, in 10 years we will find out that vaping was worse than cigarettes. For sure, without a doubt. And the lawsuits that go on against the companies that vape will be bigger than tobacco lawsuits everywhere. And the tobacco lawsuits were in the billions, y'all. This vaping stuff is an epidemic, and in 10 years it's going to be illegal. I promise you that. And it's going to lead other places. Physically take care of yourselves. Don't put something in that's going to poison you. Take it from a guy that's put poisons in all of his life. All this stuff does is hurt you. I've never seen anybody's life get better from vaping or smoking or drinking. Nobody's life ever gets better from it. So, the third rule about being a coffee bean. is you have to understand what life is all about. The secret to life is serving others and being humble. It's called servant leadership. It's not about you. It's about what you can do for other people. Find ways to put back in the stream of life every single day. You have to wake up and actively look for ways that you can help out. Because that's what we're called to do on this planet. We're called to help other people out. Remember that crazy prayer that I had in the county jail, God get me out of here so I can smoke some meth on the weekends? Man, I learned how to pray when I was in prison. And I say the same prayer today that I started saying when I was in prison. It's a two-part prayer. You can borrow my prayer if you want. You can have it. I say, Dear God, please put in front of me what you need me to do today for you. And let me recognize it when I see it. And I take off. Because I know that if I'm doing things for other people, if I'm finding ways to help other people out, then my needs will be met. And they will. But it's a hard concept at your age. But life is not about you. It's about what you can do for others. That's what coffee beans look for. Ways to help out other people. The fourth rule about being a coffee bean is you need to understand what you do and do not control. This is a hard one. All my life, I thought I was this wizard behind the curtain, pulling levers, pushing buttons, manipulating people to do what I want them to do. You know, I was a big manipulator. Addicts are big manipulators. But the reality is, you control 4 things in this life. Only 4. All that other stuff you think you control, throw that out the window. Everything you control is between your ears. It's in your mind. You control what you think, what you say, what you feel, and most importantly, everybody's going to see what you do. What you think, what you say, what you feel, what you do. If it's not one of those 4 things, guess what? You don't have any say in it. You do not control it. So, learning this lesson was a hard one in prison. When I finally got this lesson down, and then I focused all my energy in one of those 4 areas every day and let the other stuff be taken care of by God or other people that control it, my life took off in the fast lane, and yours will too. The inmates took notice of all the changes in life. I was changing that prison from the inside out. The guards took notice, and parole took notice. Parole was when they let you out of prison early. So November 16, 2015, a lady from parole comes up and visits me and says, hey, look, here's the deal. You know, we don't see a lot of guys come through like Damon West. You know, Damon West, you had this big, wonderful life before, and you came into prison, and you changed this prison, and, you know, she said, I got one question for you, Mr. West. One question only. She said, if you could be remembered for being anything in this life, she said, give it to me in just one word. Go. And because I was a coffee bean, because I understood what life was all about, and life's not about me, I had her answer for her. I fired back off at her like that. I said, useful. I just want to be useful, ma'am. I said, I can be useful in this prison, or I can be useful out in that world, going around the country and finding coffee beans. And she said, we're going to give you one shot, Mr. West. If you come back anywhere in America in handcuffs between now and the year 2073, she said, we will keep you until 2073. Y'all, I'm on parole the rest of my life. They let me go that day, November 16, 2015. And when I got out of prison, and I got to see what life was all about, and I got to apply this stuff in life, I found out what the 5th rule about being a coffee bean was. The 5th rule about being a coffee bean is really cool. Because the 5th rule about being a coffee bean says, your past doesn't define you. Your past wins don't define you. Your past losses don't define you. Your past mistakes don't define you. Your past is your past. It's gone. It's over. You can't change that. Your past is your lesson. The present, today, man, that's a gift. You got to make the most of today. You got to find ways to pack things into the stream of life that are helpful for the universe and helpful for other people. That's what living is all about. Because the future is your motivation. Your motivation to be better husbands one day, better mothers, better fathers, better daughters, better wives. This is what your motivation is in life. Find the right goals. Be motivated by it. Always be kind. Always be conscious of other people around you. That's the way you should be motivated. Y'all, life is such a good gift that we have every day, y'all. Here's the 5 lessons about being a coffee bean. So here's the deal. At the end of each presentation, I have what's called a call to action. Because nothing is free in life but misery, and we don't want misery. So here's my call to action. Here's what I want you to do. And I've got a good group of people here in Kansas to do it. My call to action is this. You go out there. You go home tonight. Start with going home. And you tell your families, whoever you live with, you tell your families. You tell them about Mr. Jackson's coffee bean story. All right? And your pot of boiling water is not prison. That's Jackson's pot of boiling water and my pot of boiling water. You don't have to have that pot of boiling water. I've been to prison for you. Your pot of boiling water is life. And life is going to turn the heat up. And when it does, you tell them about that carrot that turns soft. No one wants to be the carrot. The carrot is sad. You tell them about the egg that turns hard. No one wants to be the egg. The egg is mad. People don't like being around mad people. You tell them about that coffee bean, though. That coffee bean, you get animated when you talk about the coffee bean. You get excited, that coffee bean is pretty cool. You tell them about that coffee bean, because that coffee bean jumps into that pot of boiling water and says, you know what? Turn it up. I've got this. And the longer that coffee bean sits in that pot of boiling water, the stronger that pot of coffee is going to be. So my call to action to you today, Kansas, is you go out there and you go be a coffee bean. Y'all, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for letting me talk today. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. So here's my social media tags. If anybody wants to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, I put out positive stuff. One more thing I want to tell you about social media. Use your social media as a platform to do good. A lot of people see your stuff. Go out there and put good stuff out there. Don't put negative stuff. That stuff will haunt you forever. Positive stuff. You want to follow someone positive? Follow me. All right.
Thank you guys. We're really happy that so many of you could come today, and we are going to start, I think, with the districts that are farthest away. So Fairfield, Central Plains, you guys dismiss yourselves first. Everybody else hang tight for a minute.